Hey, all you minties! Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And today, I'm going to be talking about all of these books that have been reprinted recently or coming out soon from Marvel Comics. So let's go ahead and get started. And welcome back, everybody. So, I'm not gonna go through each and every one of these like I normally do when I'm talking about my overviews, because, let's face it, that would kill me. I'm just gonna go through the list of what's been released, and some of these surprising me that they came back. But before I do, a big thank you to David Gabriel and all the folks at Marvel for sending us copies of these books throughout the last few months. So yes, these have come out in the last few months, or will be coming out soon. So you can check with your retailers in case you're interested in a particular book or a particular series, or maybe you're missing a volume. And it's not just volume 1s that are coming back. So, some of these are events, some of these are volumes 2s or future volumes of series. So actually, let's just go ahead and jump right in. Again, not doing a thorough overview, but just mainly talking about the lines that are coming back, or the books that are coming back. So we are kicking it off with these Marvelverse books. These are the digest-sized books, so they're a little bit smaller than your trade paperbacks. As a matter of fact, here, let me do a little comparison here in a second, but this is Volume 2 of Strange Academy. Volume 1 was printed, I want to say, 3 times. So I'm glad that Volume 2 of the digest size came back. This is Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. This is Full Moon, and this collects issues 13 through 24. So this is another one that is a Volume 2 of these digest-sized books. And then the Marvelverse books is how you get into these characters, or editors pick the best stories to get into these characters. Great for kids, or great, honestly, for anybody that wants to jump in and get to know some of these characters that have had 50, 60 plus years of history. But they are smaller than your trade paperback. The trim size of these are smaller than trades, for example, like that. There we go. You can get a better idea of the size of them in case you've never got any of these. These are a little bit cheaper, though. This is like $15.90 or $13.99. Apologies. This one here is $12.99, and these are $9.99, I believe. For all ages, 10 plus. Interesting that they brought this book back because, well, with everything going on, this is Miss Marvel. This is the original series that kicked it off by G. Willow Wilson and one of my favorite artists, Adrian Alfona. Oh, I love Adrian's work in Runaways. So freaking good. But this is the series that introduced the character to the Marvel heroes and us. So Volume 1's come back to print. We've got Marvel Zombies coming back to print, and there is an omnibus, but this is for people that don't want to jump into the omnibus game and just want to get to know these characters because of, I think, season 1 of What If introduced them. Kang the Conqueror, one of the key players in the MCU universe, although, is that right? MCU universe? No, that's Marvel Comics universe. Why? That's redundant. The MCU. This is his new series. And this was awesome. The ending of this was awesome because it left everybody in surprise, like, what the hell? Collecting Kang the Conqueror 1 through 5 by Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly, the folks that did the Captain America run. I hope to see their names show up from time to time. It's kind of like a retelling of his origin and trying to redeem for all the things in his past. And there are rumors about Kang no longer being the... Oh, what the hell is this doing here? This is a Spider-Man book. Hold on. There we go. Kang being the #1 baddie now at the MCU because of everything going on and Major's accusations and stuff. So I don't know. I don't keep up with that stuff. I have no idea what the verdict of that is. All I know is everything right now is a rumor. But as far as I know, the last thing they said was Kang. I mean, the movie is called The Kang Dynasty Avenger, so I don't know if they'll replace the actor or what. King in Black is coming back to print as well. So that's an event. We've got 1602 coming back to print. This series by Neil Gaiman and by Andy Kubert. Also, the painting or the colors of Richard Eisenoff. And this is an awesome series. It's a standalone series, even though there were spin-off series based around this world, but it's reimagining the Marvel heroes as if they existed in the year 1602. If you've not read it, coming back in trade, as well as this event, The Death of Dr. Bleep. Well, can't do anything about that because of the title. This does have some twists and turns, and it does set up the character of Clea as the new Strange. Jen McKay writing this, as well as writing the series of Strange Really solid story, and it's got wonderful artwork by Lee Garbett, one of my favorite artists, and just telling the story of Doctor Strange and how possibly he could have died, right? Daredevil getting some love again with a new printing of Born Again. David Mazzucchelli and Frank Miller teaming up for this amazing story. If you've not read it, do yourself a favor. Regarded as one of the best Daredevil stories, if not the best by a lot of people. I love it, and I think I've shared my thoughts on it, that the ending's a little lackluster, but that's just my opinion. Others think it's perfect, and I completely understand why. But also getting The Man Without Fear. This was the script that Frank Miller wrote for a movie that never came to be. So what Marvel did was turning it into a 5-issue miniseries with John Romita Jr. on artwork. And this is my favorite Daredevil story. Frank Miller writing it and John Romita Jr. drawing it. I still love the way that he draws the Kingpin. Some retcon in here, of course, because it kind of shoehorns the character of Elektra in his past, even though we've seen that before in the pages of Frank Miller's Daredevil, so I guess it's not much of a retcon. And, of course, shoehorning a little bit of the Kingpin in there and other characters that you'll see some cameos of. I love this book. I love this series. Then we're getting some Star Wars love, but really Darth Vader is getting a lot of love. This is really interesting because now we're getting 3 volume 1s in here from different eras. Maybe I will do a Star Wars reading order sometime. I need to separate them, though, by Dark Horse era and then the Marvel era. So this is the Charles Soule run, which takes place after episode 3. The Gillen run right here, which takes place after episode 4. And then the Greg Pak era, which is taking place after episode 5. So let me just show you a little bit of the artwork, but this one goes into some spoiler territory, so I don't want to do too much of this. Let me just show you a little bit of artwork, but this one goes into a little bit of spoiler territory, and I don't want to show too much of what's through here because this takes place after Empire, after episode 3. All 3 of these are freaking awesome, by the way. All 3 of these are freaking awesome. And if I had to choose one, man, that would be hard. I would have to go with Gillen, though. And it's unfair because it was the Darth Vader that I read first, but it also introduces us to Dr. Aphra, and she's just an awesome character, so yeah, I gotta go with Gillen. And then probably followed by Pax. Pax doing some awesome stuff in Vader and in Star Wars, and then, yeah, Soule. Alright, let's talk about Spider-Man. First, we have Life Story, retelling the history of Spider-Man in real time, from the moment he was a teenager in the 60s to he's in his 40s. So he goes through the 80s era, the 90s, the 70s. Oh man, if you've not read it and you're a Spider-Man fan, this is so awesome. It will be part of the Chip Zdarsky Spider-Man Omnibus, and it's been released in oversized hardcover. And then we have Miles Morales, Volume 1. This is the Saladin Ahmed series, so this takes place in the 616 universe. And this is coming out in omnibus format later this year. But this is what it looks like. And it is Miles hanging out here in the Marvel 616 universe. So he's no longer in the Ultimate Universe. But he wasn't really after Bendis. We do have a Miles Fatty book that I'm going to get to here in a little bit. What's being reprinted. Amazing Spider-Man. This is the Nick Spencer era Volume 1 coming back to print. Interesting that we're also getting Amazing Spider-Man Volume 3. But this is now the Zeb Wells era coming back to print. This is the big fight against the Queen Goblin, not to be confused with the Goblin Queen. And one of the big events, Spider-Man Worlds Collide. So collecting Spider-Man 1 through 5 and the follow-up Spider-Man 2 1 through 5, all written by Brian Michael Bendis. And it is the meeting of 616 Peter Parker and Miles Morales from the Ultimate Universe. But by the time you get to the second Spider-Man mini, things have changed. Alright, let's talk about some X-Men books. Really interesting that this one's coming back to print. Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe. I don't know why this one to kind of kick off the Deadpool books. Didn't know this one was that high in demand. Maybe this one, honestly, was out of print one of the longest times, and that's why it's coming back first. So probably you're going to be seeing a lot of Deadpool books because we are having a Deadpool 3 movie coming out sometime in, I think, 2024. Then again, Writer Strikes. So here's some Volume 2s. We have X-Force Volume 2 from the Krakoa era, but also X-Men, the Hickman era Volume 2, which is also the Krakoa era. Wonderful artwork by Lionel Francis Yu, available in oversized hardcover. I'm sorry, omnibus, and this in oversized hardcover. Dead Man Logan, which is wrapping up Ed Brisen's run on Old Man Logan. This is the follow-up to his run on Old Man Logan, and this wraps up the story of, yes, Old Man Logan. I don't know how many times I can say it. And if he makes it back to his world, or if he's still stuck in our world in the 616 universe. But this does wrap it up rather nicely. Hopefully one day we'll see an Old Man Omnibus. Old Man Omnibus. I guess, well, no, you could. You could have Hawkeye, Old Man Peter Quill, and then an Old Man Logan. What I would like to see is Old Man Logan by Jeff Lemire, and then Old Man Logan by Ed Brisen. Hell, put in the Battle World story by Bendis in there too, and I'm game. But this is coming back to print. Parental advisory. All right, let's start looking at some fatties and thickies, whatever you want to call them. Kang, the saga of the once and future Conqueror, coming back to print, going through his era as not just Kang, but Immortus, as well as Ramatut, and just different stories collected throughout the years. Not a lot of old stuff, not a lot of Silver Age. So I'm hoping this eventually becomes some kind of omnibus, because he's my favorite Avengers villain. And the last story in here is the one that everybody was talking about when it came out originally. It's a one-shot, and this is the only place it's been collected too. And that is the Timeless one-shot. And Loki, Agent of Asgard. We just had an omnibus, and it's also coming back in complete collection. So this collects all 17 issues of Agent of Asgard, as well as Original Sin 5.1 to 5.5, and then material from All New Marvel Now .1, which is, of course, collected in the omnibus. So all this stuff is collected in the omnibus, but if you're not an Omni fan, and you just want to stick to trades, this is the way to get it. Here we have Avengers vs. X-Men. So Avengers vs. X-Men is just reprinting the 12-issue event. So let me just triple check, because I'm pretty sure, yeah, it's just issues 1 through 12 plus the .1. So it doesn't have the AVX stuff, the stuff that's collected in the omnibus. That will probably come out later if they decide to reprint it, but this is just the main event when the Avengers and the X-Men fight over the coming of the Phoenix. One of the biggest surprises out of this bunch is the return of the Punisher Max. Two reasons. Number one, it's the Punisher, and people are like, oh, they're doing away with him, and I know they're not because of things like this, and of course the return of the Epic Collection. I may have an omnibus announcement of a reprint, maybe. Keep an eye on the channel. Thank you all for those that watch all my videos. But here, yeah, it's just really strange. It's a complete collection is the other reason, and they're doing away with those, so I don't know the reasoning, but yes, this is definitely adult material, written by Garth Ennis, Derek Robertson drawing some of these issues in here, the Bourne issues, which is kind of like a retelling, little bit of a retcon. So if you're a Punisher stickler from the Chuck Dixon, Mike Baron, or the Carl Potts era, yeah, Garth Ennis plays around a little bit with his story on Bourne, so you may be surprised by some of the things that he does. And Max being adult-oriented, mainly due to the violence and language is what it's mainly due to. But this is the first volume of that. I'm not sure if others will be collected, but pretty cool to see this come back to. A book that came and went not just once, but twice is The Scarlet Witch, The Complete Collection by James Robinson. Oh, what I would love for this series to come into fruition in oversized hardcover format. Oh my gosh. James Robinson writing the redeeming story arc of Wanda Maximoff. You know, because of what happened in House of M, and it just seems like writers didn't know what to do with her. But this is such a good and powerful story, talking about this young woman's journey and, you know, trying to find out who she is and where she stands in life after all the mistakes she's made, and if there's any hope of her coming back to life, to this world that she once had of being a hero. Wonderful story. If you've missed it out the first two times, definitely pick it up. Here is another fatty. This is the Ultimate Collection. Surprising this is coming back, of Miles Morales. Maybe they decided to reprint these before the before I announced Modern Epic Collection, so this was already in the works. But this collects a big chunk of Miles Morales, and this is the Ultimate Collection, and it has the crossover with Spider-Man, and this part right here is when he's all in the Ultimate Universe. Get to meet his friend Genki, and there's Spider-Woman. I still think it's funny the way that Ultimate Peter Parker reacted to her. Secret Wars is coming back to print. Not an oversized hardcover, but people have been asking me if this was coming back to print in any kind of way so they can read it and own it. So it is coming back out in trade paperback, and this collects all 9 issues of Secret Wars. So Avengers, Hickvengers, and Hickvengers Volume 2 leads into this. But not just Hickvengers, really Hickman's Fantastic Four, his Ultimates, and which is getting an omnibus next year, and his Secret Warriors, all leads into this big, massive event that recreates the Marvel Universe. This is the reason why characters like Miles Morales are now in the 616 universe. She-Hulk coming out in trade paperback, and this is the complete collection of Charles Soule's run. This one came and went quick, so they decided to do a quick reprint of it. Definitely a lot more lawyering up in this particular run than in Dan Slott's run or in John Byrne's run, but a damn good run nonetheless. I really enjoyed this, and yeah, it's really interesting to see this side of Jennifer just take up being a lawyer. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of superhero stuff in here, but there's a lot more lawyering because probably Charles Soule has a background in law. And last but not least, this fatty of a book. My gosh, this book is thick. It's $50 too for retail. Spider-Verse coming out in thick trade paperback format, probably to do with that little tiny movie that's been kicking ass at the box office. So good for animation, good for comic book movies. I love it. And it is coming back to print. So this is where pretty much the first movie is kind of based on, taking a lot of liberties, of course, because it borrows heavily from Ultimate Spider-Man, Miles Morales era, and a little bit of this. But in this, you get Morlun and all the inhibitors going after the Spider-Men, the different Spider-Folk from the different universes. So, that's it. Man, that's a lot of books coming back to print. That, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing any of these new printings, don't forget to check out our sponsors.
If you're in Europe and you're interested in buying these books, definitely check out Walt's Comic Shop in Berlin, Germany. They have the cheapest pre-order prices, flat shipping rate of €12 for all EU countries, emails answered within 24 hours, waltscomicshop.com, and you can use the code nearmintcondition at checkout and get free shipping for all EU countries with your first order over €40. That's Walt's Comic Shop, your reliable source for omnis and premium collected editions in Europe. Ding!
CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the list of new printings that have come out recently or are coming out soon. So make sure you check out with your retailer, your local comic book store, because these books can now be ordered through them. So if you have any more questions, leave your questions down below. What other trade paperback, complete collection, ultimate collection? I'm really surprised some of these ultimate collections came back or complete collections came out since they've been kind of phasing them out. But yes, I would love to know what you would like to see come back to print. If you have any questions, leave them down below. Smash that like button on the way out. Everyone stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.